Hello guys, welcome to the Creative Radio, and I am your host for today. My name is Cotton Toby, and I'm here with a boss in the creative industry, someone who has worked in different spheres of the creative space and currently working as a deputy creative director with Dentsu Creative in the advertising space. Welcome with me, Joshua Riebelle. Welcome, Josh. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Thank you for honoring our invitation.
Player is on mine. Yeah.
Okay, for those that don't really know you, because I've worked with you, I know you. For those who don't really know you and know a bit of your background, can you share it with them so they get to know this man who is working with them? And for you guys to know, he has more than 14 years of experience. So today is like you're baptizing us with knowledge.
Okay. I hope I baptism, eh? All right. So yes, thanks for having me. I started out as a front-end engineer. This was in 2007. I did that for about 6 years, and then I went into advertising.
Oh, nice.
I've been in advertising for the past 10 years, plus 11 years-ish. But collectively, yeah, it is quite some time I've been designing professionally. And in that, in the span of, I would say 15, 16 years now, I've learned a lot. I have had the opportunity to work with amazing people.
Yes.
I've had the opportunity to work with not so amazing people. And learned a lot of things along the way. I've also improved, because you constantly are learning and doing your best to get better.
Yes.
I started out junior, and now as a DCD, your responsibility is overseeing people most of the time. So there's a lot of experience to gain, going from receiving instructions and being supervised to supervising.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
it's great. You mentioned something that you started as a front-end developer.
Yes.
Because nowadays, right, in my own time, even people, let's say in the advertising space, are like, oh, now I want to go into tech. I want to go to the tech space. They feel like, oh yeah, there's more money there. The work there is not like this space whereby it's all fast-paced and everything. So what made you switch from the tech role then to pursue a career in design?
I'd say the opportunity for me at the time was there for, compensation. Yeah. I was much younger, and I just felt okay. I could still do tech on the side. Okay. But my core was design and creative, visual design and all that kind of stuff. So the advertising industry was something that I had the opportunity to, hear about, and I went to Orange Academy and got exposed to a lot of, great minds, and I was like, yeah, this is an interesting path to follow. And then I went into that. But of course, on the side, I've been working on digital products. I do have one I'm working on right now, which serves about, it's a digital product that serves about 11,000 businesses in Nigeria.
Oh, that's nice.
Has over 17,000 users, and it's growing steadily. And like all of my experience from before I went into advertising helped me better understand how to create that product. Plus my experience in advertising also helped me better position the product in such a way that I kind of knew the do's and don'ts to make the product, catch on with the specific target audience, because that's what you deal with every day in advertising. Target audience and, specific nuances of how to make a product successful or a brand successful. And all of that experience came into play.
Well, that is beautiful. That's beautiful. Your experiences before the advertising space are still part of you. And they're still the things that you brought into the space to actually create something that's actually solving a problem. Because, like the theme of this podcast, directed by creativity, you are using creativity to solve problems, which is what it's supposed to be. Not just something being fine or being beautiful out there, or creating confusion, like you said. Someone being like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Or pass to me. And it is really good to see people that actually do these things and are creating great things. And not like, oh yeah, I'm just waking up, going to the office or getting things done because it is fine and I want it to be. So can you tell us a bit about your influences? So what are things that influence you to actually, think in this direction of, I want to create a solution, I want to use design to drive solutions to businesses, people, make lives better and everything?
So what inspires that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say, well, there are a number of figures out there that inspire me, obviously, in product design, number of companies too.
Yeah.
I mean, every major tech company, I've always been a big fan of technology and always tinkering around it and wanting to understand it better.
Yeah.
So companies like, of course, Apple, Microsoft, they played a huge role and, inspiring. Like, these guys build solutions that billions of people across the world are using every day, And I always feel like, why can't Africans do the same? I mean, we have some interesting startups today, that are, making global headlines. But they're just maybe in very few spaces like payment and that's it. But more sophisticated, problems like, as Africans, I mean, we deserve our own operating system to start with because the way we live is different from the West.
Yes.
Even when I look at things like cars that we import into Nigeria, I'm like, these cars are not designed for this part of the world. That's why you're always running into issues. Like, we have potholes, we have very high temperature, in terms of our climate and all that. And many of these cars aren't really built for. So any little thing like this, they just break down on the road or overheat. So we need more Africans are using design to solve specific problems that Africans face every day, the way it will best benefit an African or a Nigerian, So, so of course, large corporations like that, small tech companies and relatively large tech companies in Nigeria, we also look up to them. I also look up to them and say, okay, I love the way these guys have solved this problem. If I'm really going to use my experience and my expertise, I don't just want to use it to create something that looks nice. I want it to really solve the problem. And that's the drive, basically. That's the motivation every day.
I really like the fact that you're thinking Africa. You're not just thinking, oh, the next client that walks into our agency. You're not just thinking, oh, this particular person I work with personally, what can I do for him or his business? You're thinking in a wide range where, in which is very good, whereby the people that are really making impact out there, doing great things, this is the way they think, this is their mindset, this is their drive. They don't just focus on where they are, they focus on a large perspective so they can really make the impact known and everything. Really, really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, you're right.
Really good. Now, as a creative director, moving from tech to the advertising industry, which I think some people would be like,
I'm still very much, doing both simultaneously, but primarily, yes.
Yeah, as a creative director now, what are the things that inspire your work? What inspires your creative work in this space, in the advertising space where you are right now?
Okay, so I would say I've been opportunity to work with some very brilliant people, and I even still work with some of them till now, including yourself. And believe it or not, whether it's people I have to supervise or people who supervise me, I have been inspired from both ends of the spectrum. Honestly, when I started out my career in advertising, the creative director I worked with was a very, very inspiring guy. He was a deep thinker, and the primary source or recipe for what maybe I would say stood out or made his work interesting to learn from was storytelling. Like,
that's
storytelling always wins. Like, if I start telling you the story of a tortoise and a lion and how, and it's memorable, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, a step further is when you can tie that story with things that I'm familiar with as a result of my culture or upbringing. Yeah. When I can see myself in the story somehow, I am even more connected to that product or idea or service. I usually detest when I see Nigerian movies trying to pretend like they're in Hollywood. And, our Nigerian police is saying freeze. Hold it there, like, say I can't connect to that. Like, that's not true. Yeah. So when I see a number of blockbuster movies come out, from Nollywood, and I say, okay, let me just give this one a try. And then the police is acting like a police in New York. I'm like, what? I was talking to someone how it's funny how in Nigerian movies they don't really use things like potholes and power going off and things that a lot of Nigerians grew up experiencing and are still experiencing till today. In the story, so that I can connect better with it, because when I drive on the road, I enter pothole. And, my car will pick up a nail, I'll have flat tire, I have to deal with vulcanizer. Like, why are those things always missing in stories? So that is just basically how, when I see creative directors or creative people in general, not just creative directors, that are able to tell stories that I can see myself in, it's just awe-dropping for me. It's very inspiring for me. And if those stories can go further to tapping into human truths or universal human truths, like what's true about every human being. Everybody gets thirsty. Everybody loves to relax. Or there's something about every human being or every guy or every lady that is true, and you can find a creative way to put that in your story and somehow sell a brand or sell a product or sell a feeling. That's just inspiring for me. I don't think I would consider myself as someone that, always takes advantage of this, even though I'm aware. So it's for anybody who is true to themselves, it's a constant learning process. You're constantly trying to do what I just said. You're constantly trying to tell stories that make sense, that people can relate to it. Not trying to, just copy some Western idea and slap it on. On your product. Let me give you one example. Anytime I see a milk brand in Nigeria, showing a family with kids gulping a glass of milk, I'm like,
Nigerians don't gulp milk.
We don't gulp milk like that. I don't know who grew up gulping milk. Like, it was, this is unrelatable. like, I can't relate to this. And so many other things.
There's a lot. You said something profound, right? Storytelling. And then you said something like, me seeing myself in the story you're telling. And I would say for everyone watching this who is in the advertising space, just give you what you've been looking for. Especially when they say, come up with a big idea.
Interesting.
Come up with a big idea for a campaign that you can then scale down and cascade to other things. The idea should be something everyone can relate with. And what they see themselves doing or having. If you are to come up with an idea, let's say for an energy drink, for example, and then you go and start bringing ideas that Red Bull is doing. Their crazy ideas and everything, going on mountains and they're not relatable. They're not relatable.
But to be
people
fair,
like us.
To be fair to a number of creative people out there, including myself and yourself, there's a lot of red tape and a lot of hurdles to your ideas have to cross for it to get out there. So I know a lot of people out there, like I said, you've worked with a lot of brilliant people and you've seen that some people have a really amazing idea, but sometimes it doesn't go beyond the initial briefing. It doesn't go beyond the agency. Not to talk about the client. It doesn't go beyond the table. It just dies there instantly. And, maybe there's an account manager or or even the creative director could say, oh, no, I don't see this working. why don't we do something that is more like this or more like that? And then the client sees it and they're like, no, we just want a guy smiling and doing thumbs up.
With the drink.
so there is that. And
Yes.
honestly, I used to, before I came into advertising, I used to be like, why would this brand, why would a designer do this? And then I joined advertising and I'm like, oh, I see why. The client is actually the designer, not
you, the designer.
so to be fair, a lot of people get to deal with that every day, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What creative work, right, do you do in your own spare time? Because I know and I believe that most creative people who are out there who are doing great things, they have things they do on their own.
Yeah.
Like personal projects, something they do just to, keep the creativity flowing and everything. And I know you do some skeuomorphic designs, which are like mad. Guys, you guys are going to see it in this part, don't worry. Like mad designs. I can remember when, back then when I worked with you, when I joined Dentsu, I created one and then I posted it. And then like saying, wrote a comment. I was like, Josh, I see your handle. I was like, you can tell, right, that the influence was from you for me to be able to do that type of thing. And these things, how did you start?
Okay.
And why do you actually do them?
Okay, so I started doing skeuomorphic design mainly to test my design abilities. Okay. And I constantly just use it to, like you said, it's my spare time thing. Honestly, I always wanted to be an industrial designer. Okay. So someone who does design for like fabrication, things that will be created and all that kind of stuff. Not just virtual design for billboards and to promote products. So in my bid to push my ability to create, for you to do industrial design means whatever you're creating has to be somewhat close to reality. Yes. And that's where skeuomorphism comes in. Yeah. So I started practicing that, and the more I practiced, the better I got. And at some point it just became like a hobby I just used to pass time. Even though I knew a lot of the, somewhat realistic designs that we're doing were just for fun. Yes. They were not things that were going to come out. Yeah. Well, although I'm working on something that I hope will be fabricated soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but yes, I started out to, the goal was to become an industrial designer. And that's still the dream for me.
Oh, that's still the dream?
Yeah, that's
good. That's really good. Yeah. Now, out of the projects you've worked on, okay, which ones will you say, oh yeah, you really loved working on this project? And you loved the way the project was out there, and the process was exciting, everything was really good, you enjoyed it, you loved it.
Well, I'm sure a lot of creative people will be able to relate to this. A lot of the amazing projects or interesting projects I've had the opportunity to work on never gets out there. never makes it to.
This is just the
never makes it to billboard.
That's a lot of people need to understand.
Please don't tie the work to your chest, because you will be sorely disappointed. You will do a lot of amazing things that will never see the light of day. You just have to live with it, otherwise you go insane. So except you're saying, okay, what is the project that at least got out there and I got some satisfaction from, or fulfillment from? I would say it's I'd say a recent project I worked on with Schweppes or Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola did the photo shoot. The guys I worked with were very amazing, very professional. The output was really good, and they ended up using it. It was a 3-day shoot, product shoot. So, product in use, product consumption, product shots, and it was really world class. In terms of the people were amazing, the ideas they had. Like, I just was glad I was able to somewhat oversee the project as the creative lead and see it go from storyboard and all those kind of things to actual, finished work that was published on digital platforms.
Yeah. That's really good. That's really good. I mean, it's very, very, will I say, like you said, satisfying and great for you to see your work out there after all the fight and battle and sword and arrow and everything with the clients and the Avengers, the end game, everything, and then your work is out there. You feel fulfilled. I can remember the first time I saw my work on a billboard. I was like, hey, I don't know.
That first time feeling is always cool.
It was a really good feeling. But you know, with time, now if I see my work, I'll be like, oh okay. I don't do it. You know, it's really, really good. Now, looking at the world of generative AI, and you know, working with young people nowadays, whereby even most people are like, oh, they don't want to get creative anymore. A copywriter just want to go and type in ChatGPT, give me 5 copies for this particular idea. You know, they will say an art director wants to go and use Midjourney or something like that.
Yes.
What is your perspective or take in that space?
Okay. So before I even start, let me just state that I did try out all of these tools.
Yes.
Adobe generative AI tool. Yeah. They first launched Firefly.
Yes.
Then they launched it in Photoshop.
Yes.
Then the Midjourney was out, of course, already.
Yes.
Then ChatGPT and DALL-E 3, DALL-E 2. Then now DALL-E 3.
DALL-E 3 now.
Yeah. So I tried all of them out, and I even constantly almost use the generative AI from Photoshop every day and Midjourney every day now for the past 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, nice.
So it's not going to do all the amazing things. Like I was really pumped. Like I was like, oh my God, generative AI is here. You can just type a prompt and say, oh man, closing laptop, you know, and looking away.
See it.
And you would just see it. Yeah. And I was sorely disappointed. I was really disappointed with the outcomes, you know, some of these generative AI tools. Because, I mean, I think the first problem is that many of them are not trained for our skin tone. Like, I don't think there is enough. The tools are biased. Let me just put it that way.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so they are biased.
Okay.
In terms of ChatGPT, for example.
Yes.
So I paid for ChatGPT's API
yes.
to create my own custom chat bot.
Yes.
So they will give you the engine, and you can, you know, write a few lines to train it so that it can work as your own digital assistant. So I wanted to create a test, you know, chat bot that would do support for our startup.
Yes.
It was horrible.
Wow.
You know, it lied a lot. It got a lot of things wrong. It was just difficult. It was just, I was like, this thing is unusable. Like, any company who tries to rely on this is going to be in serious problem. So generative AI, I think it will, there are certain tasks that I think it's good for. So if there are everyday tasks that the end result isn't creative, I think it's good for that.
Okay.
So you have a bunch of text and you want to convert it into a table. You know, you can tell ChatGPT, oh, convert this into a table.
Yeah.
Or you want to generate an image like, oh, I want a black young guy who is looking corporate.
Yes. Something
straightforward.
Yes.
But the minute you start describing things like yesterday at the office, I was trying to generate an image that would show a guy who is leaving for leaving work to go hang out. So I want an image that showed a black guy trying to close a laptop leaving. I tried like, I don't know how many prompts, you know, change the phrasing, you know, retried. It just showed me a guy with his laptop open, working. I'm like, I want this guy looking away, closing the laptop. Yes. I did everything, went online, and I was using Midjourney, not the free version.
The
paid version. This is not the free.
Actually, they don't even do the free anymore.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, so once you exhaust your tokens, I mean,
they don't even give tokens.
They don't give tokens anymore.
Yes.
Wow. Streets are not smiling.
The streets.
Yeah. So I think even I've seen reports that shows that patronage of tools like Midjourney has dropped significantly. Because
Okay.
a lot of people thought, oh, Terminator is here.
It's going to take over the world.
AI supremacy is here.
Yeah.
AI supremacy is not far from. It's far from. If nothing, except sometimes it wastes my time.
Yeah.
Because even when I think I can easily just create something using Midjourney and just type in the prompt, and I just realize, let me just go to Shutterstock, look for this image, do small manipulations, and I'm done, because I have an idea of exactly what I want.
Yes.
You know, but that doesn't happen. So generative AI tools, it's like NFTs. You know, the hype around that.
Yeah.
You know, they're all just worthless now. So I think it's a similar problem. People overhyped it, and I was like, some people were like, I don't need to learn design anymore. You know, I don't need to sweat and learn Photoshop. You know, and they are realizing that the hard way right now. That, you have to do it. Human intelligence is still, like, it's still going to be very difficult for, you know, traditional AI or generative AI to reach human intelligence in terms of creativity so quickly. Like, it will take some time.
Yeah. And, you know, with this, your response and your answer, I found out that you still have to own your skills, right?
Yes.
You still have to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are there to do some maybe minor things and all. But if you really want to get something that you are seeing in your head the way it is, because like you said, let's say there are two creative people, right? One is using the Midjourney, and another one is using Photoshop. And they are to come up with a certain type of photo manipulation to tell a particular story. Yeah. No matter how much or how hard, because, you know, even online on YouTube, they will say, oh, this is the way you write prompts. You don't write prompts this way and everything. Yeah, with all those things, following those rules, you won't still get the actual thing. Yes. Unlike when you sit down, know your skills, know everything you need to do, which will make you faster in your work when you do it over time repeatedly, and then you go get the elements you want to get and put everything together and have your work. Fantastic work, fantastic idea. It's out there. But it's not, we are not saying AI is not good.
Oh no, it's good. It's good to enhance your work. So it's like, I mean, in any profession, technology would enhance your ability to be more efficient. You know, maybe something that would take you 2-3 hours, maybe with tech you can cut down that time to 1 hour. But the primary skill to manage that technology and use it to improve the output, you as a human still need to get that skill. Because some people are like, oh, one day the clients will go and pay for Midjourney, and I'm like,
because the upcoming people, especially in your industry and everything, they shouldn't rely 100%.
No, they shouldn't rely. The best way to learn is by experience. I mean, when you experience, nobody has to tell you. No, that's the truth. Because if you tell someone, no, don't use that, they'll be like, you want to block.
You want to block my shine.
Exactly. So go ahead, use Midjourney, use all those tools. I mean, I was trying to generate a couch for a creative I was working on, a red couch. And I remember in one instance, I was using Photoshop's generative tool. I think it's plugged into Midjourney, I'm not sure. But they have theirs that you can use right inside Photoshop.
Is like a bit similar. And
I tried like maybe about 30 different prompts to get a couch in an angle, and I couldn't get anything. At the end, I just went to Google, just went Shutterstock, red couch in this angle. And
when you can enter in battle and have 360 view of a couch and just turn and get
what you want. You know, so yeah, it's still a long way. I'm sure it will get as good as a lot of us imagine. But it's not there yet, and I don't think it will be there anytime soon like that. It still take a little while. So still improve your skills, and otherwise you learn the hard way.
Now, I want us to talk about something. And you know, a lot of people in different places, they have these conversations. And one is leading people. Right? Leading people.
Moses. Lead people to the promised land.
To the promised land. Leading the creative people to the promised land. And then we'll niche down talking about leading Gen Zs, right? Because a lot of people are like, I'm on Gen Z people and people's generation is just something else.
Yeah.
Working with guys is stuff, is this, is that. In your own area of expertise, in your own industry, what will you say is, and to your own perspective, because people have different ways they see things and view life. What will you say is the right way to actually lead people well, and then even lead Gen Z is the right way, whereby there won't be any problem when it comes to you being in the role of a leader and working with people?
That's a tough one because, like, violence everywhere. There's violence everywhere. Okay, well, I'll say I don't really see it as a generational problem.
Okay.
I think it's I think this is something everybody has complained about. My dad probably complained about his boss, and how he was treated and all. So it's an age-old problem. For me personally, I think it's the best way is to have a way to resolve conflicts. Have a way to resolve conflicts. Leading by example too is also important. Don't just stand and say, hey, go and get this done. When you're telling people to get things done, show them, what do you mean? If that person could do that thing without you like showing them or guiding them, they would be your own boss.
Yes.
I think that presumption of you should already know how to do this is a very bad, leadership trait. Like, I don't agree with that at all. I don't do it. I don't like doing it. And whenever I find myself doing it, I just stop myself and say, no, you shouldn't do that. You are here as a leader for a reason.
Yes. So
you have the experience, you have the expertise. Use that time you're using to condemn or say you should have known this already. Use it to show, actually.
Yes.
Lead by example. That simple. Like, if you're telling somebody, you can cross this crocodile pond, cross it first yourself. Don't just tell someone, oh, you can cross the crocodile pond and just stand back. How will I do it? Go and do it. You're supposed to know how to do it. I did it back in my day. This is not back in your day. This is today and right now.
Yes.
So, show people, and you shouldn't ever, for me, I don't ever see, some people like, you still design, Josh? I'm like, of course, I'll still design for the next 50 years. I'll still love to use design tools and, be actively involved in whatever creative process or creative situation I find myself.
Yes.
And doing that real groundwork. It's maybe I was talking to an intern that works with the startup, and he was talking about AI and all these things. I said, look, you're a creative person. Think for yourself, apply yourself. AI is not going to solve our problems. AI doesn't understand a lot of things we go through here in Africa. Generative AI, let me not call it AI per se. So leading by example, basically, that's really the biggest, that's really the biggest quality any leader can have. Just lead by example. I guess it's a hard thing to do. Right? It's not something I always do. I don't always set the right example. Whenever I can stop myself and say, hey, guy, I don't think this thing you're doing is right. You need to do it right. That solves it.
That's beautiful. Really, really good. I really like the answer because, and I'm not saying this because I know you or because we have a relationship.
To be sure. You have to remove the bias.
I have to remove the bias. But I'm saying it because I've actually seen some things that you've done and the way you were leading when I was working under you.
Interesting.
And the truth is that I was reading a book, right?
Okay.
Called Creative Directions, Transition from Talent to Leader. And I found out that sometimes I read some things and I just think to myself, just these things.
Wow.
I mean, well, I've just read this book.
And you're realizing it,
And because it's a collection of creative directors and CEOs from around the world who are actually giving their own knowledge and sharing their own experience when it comes to leading people, managing people, and a lot of things. A lot of people like that, they are giving their own. And I'm like, I see you do some of these things, and I'm like, which is really good. And to me, I consider you a great leader.
Wow.
And you are someone I will work with any day, anytime.
That's a lot to take in.
Any day, anytime. Because like you said,
have to cut this part out.
like you said, we've worked with people, right? We've worked with great people. We work with people that are like, I'm not.
Taking from
like, let's not meet again. Now that we are pathways.
Yeah.
And things like that. So now, what will you tell someone who is aspiring for a career in advertising?
Okay. I'd say be sure you want to go into advertising.
Yes.
Because it has its good ups and downs. Do your research properly. Like, understand your role, what you want to achieve. You know, be very, very deliberate about how you plan your entire expedition.
Yes.
You know, and then of course, I guess just jump in. You know, once you've done all that and you understand that, okay, these are the advantages, these are the disadvantages.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it's the work environment. You know, maybe the pay is good. You know, as a benefit.
Yeah.
Or maybe you get the opportunity to work on, you know, creative brands and do interesting things. Yeah. For some people, that's why. Yeah. You know, for others, they just want to get their daily bread, and they kind of have a skill that matches that industry, so they just go in there. Yeah. I guess when you do your research and you truly understand that space, it will be easier for you to, you know, make the decision.
Oh, that is really good. That's really good. One more question before we wrap this up.
Okay.
Can you share maybe one experience? Okay. Because you know, nobody is perfect, right? And we are all growing in our career and everything. One experience of, let's say, you doing something and it didn't work out well, or you are given something to do and it didn't go well, but you learned from that thing and you moved on.
Well, there are a number of scenarios. Okay, one at least is, I think it would be managing people. Okay. You know, sometimes there's a way I picture managing people in my head, and I'm like, oh, this is how I thought, you know, managing this situation would go. Yes. But I think I was a bit impatient. Oh, okay. So I think patience is one of the biggest virtues that you can learn as a leader, to be patient, to be more observant, and you do better with how the end result. Yes. You know. Yeah, patience. I think that's really one of the things I've had to learn the hard way. That you have to be a little bit patient with both people who you report to and people who you supervise. You know, be a bit more patient, be a bit more understanding, and you do better.
Really good, really good. So just give, I would say, us and also the people watching, especially those that are, you know, coming into the creative space, some wisdom words on what should we do, how should we approach things, and, you know, just get everything going and growing like that.
Wisdom words.
Yeah.
All right, get ready. So I think there are 5 principles that I use in guiding myself daily. I'm sure I mentioned this to you.
Yeah, you mentioned it to me one time.
So I think first off, for me personally, I try to avoid number one is any form of illegal behavior. Yeah. You know, that's corruption. Yes. It has destroyed this country. Yeah. Sadly. 2 is I'd say mediocracy. Okay. You know, anything you need to know it properly. Like, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, now I can use Photoshop, and all they can do is crop an image. Yes. Yeah. So don't be mediocre. Really, really understand what you claim you can do. Yes. Like, put in the effort and the time to master that thing, inside out. Like, be able to do it in your sleep, basically. Yes. The 3rd thing would be avoid nepotism. Basically, don't make decisions based on sentiment. Yeah. Oh, this guy is my friend, he's my guy.
My cousin, my auntie's brother,
my auntie, my brother, uncle, you know. All those things lead to mediocrity, you know, sometimes, or mediocre work in the end. Yeah. The fourth thing will be bureaucracy,
Yes.
Some people start out and before you know it, they're already like, oh, I have an assistant, talk to them first, or these are the steps you have to take. Some people be like, just you, like, do you have a POs? I don't think I would ever have that. Maybe, but like avoid all those bureaucratic steps. And last but not least is self-delusion. Oh. I think that's the biggest problem today, because even if you meet someone who isn't corrupt or nepotistic or is a mediocre or is bureaucratic in their approach to things, self-delusion can be the biggest it's hard to detect that you are delusional.
Wow.
Because aspire to perspire is the biggest selling line out there, where I can achieve anything, and then I can achieve anything, and then you gotta make promises or kill yourself. I've seen people who like, I can do this, nothing can stop me. I can, and you're not being realistic with yourself. You're suffering from self-delusion without realizing you're suffering from self-delusion. So as long as you keep those 5 things in mind, you do great.
You do great. You do great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you shared with us. Wow. I know, like me, I want to go on and on.
Yeah.
There's a lot to even talk about. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You spoke concerning AI.
Yeah.
Like how AI, human is still higher than AI.
Yeah.
But I feel that the young generation depends more on AI than actual human creativity. You feel AI has a better creativity than human. Just can you help us discuss more on that?
Okay. So this is interesting. The crew is asking questions. Okay, so let me try and make this explain this the simplest way possible. So if you want to build truly original things,
Yes.
generative AI tools of today can't really do that.
Yes.
And real value is in originality.
Yeah.
And from everything I've tried out, with all the generative tools I've used, I don't really see that originality out there. Yeah. Like, you have to still there's still lots of human intelligence that has to be considered for any generative tool to do anything amazing.
Yeah.
So it's, at best, what I would call mainstream creativity. That's what you can get from AI tools. So, create a, flying car or something. AI tools do that. But let's say you wanted to create a device that never existed before. Yeah. How can an AI tool come up with that on its own? Yeah. Like, a human being still needs to come into the picture and say, this is what this AI tool should do. Yeah. And it's, in the end, it's just a tool. Yeah. You have to think a lot of things. It will only make the process of creativity faster and more efficient. Yes. It can't, to the best of my observation, it can't replace that creative thinking or creative mind. Yeah. If you wanted to create a storybook today, you can go to an AI tool and say, okay, generate a storybook based on this character that has this history, that has that. But you see that input, that is the secret sauce. Yeah. The drive. Yeah, so
there has to be someone.
There has to still be someone that would say, create a superhero that can use broom. That is its superhero weapon. Yes. And the broom can split into, 100 pieces and do this thing. Yeah. And then the generative tool can go ahead and write a story and try and fill in the gaps for you and create all these things. Yeah. And then you take that script, you go to Midjourney and say, create a superhero based on this script that can do this and create the coloring book. So the whole creative process is faster. Yes. But the intelligence that requires it is still human. Yes. I don't know if that answers the question. Somewhat, right? Yeah. Somewhat.
All right. Very, very good. Very, very good. Yeah. And guys, don't worry. We'll always have Josh back.
Yes.
To talk about different things. There are lots of things we can talk about negotiations, how you can negotiate. Oh, that's another topic entirely.
Yeah. And sometimes I wish I could, start that as a service. You know, if you want to get a job, come and hire me to come and negotiate for you. I'd love to do that, but I know it won't be allowed because HR will be like, no, the person we're hiring has to be the person to negotiate. If that can be a service, I'd love to do that because I know a lot of people bomb negotiations.
Like bomb people, bomb one. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, guys.
One more question.
Thank you.
Are we not almost out of time? Or we're out of time?
Next time, thank you so much, guys.
So
for
just
watching
save your questions for next time. And I'll get to them.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this, even from the beginning to the end. We really love you. We appreciate you, and we will continue to bring the best people to actually, give you this first-hand knowledge and experience that you don't necessarily get every day, for you to know how to go about your creative career, for you to grow, become better, and enjoy any creative space you're working in. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks.
See you in the next one. Thanks, Jess.
Yeah. Thanks.